This is NBC6 South Florida Today.
Welcome back, everybody. Right about now, all those holiday bills are showing up in the mailbox, and good money management will be the key to gaining control of your finances. Gary Herman is president of Consolidated Credit Counseling Services, and he's got some tips for dealing with this debt that many people have. Welcome.
Good morning.
Clearly, December and January are probably the worst months of the year for most people.
Yes.
How do we get, how do you not let this happen?
Well, I think we want to talk to the people who it already happened to. The holidays are over.
You can talk to whoever you want.
Okay, the holidays are over. We put all of our presents and all of our dinners and all the clothes that we had to buy on our charge cards. And this month we're going to open our bills and be surprised by all the debt. And the promise that we made to ourselves last year to pay off the debt before the holidays didn't come true. So the question is now, how do we get rid of that debt and do it right this year?
Okay. I'm not so sure that people that people can really and truly be surprised after spending all the money that they spent. They probably are in denial. They don't want to think about it, but then it finally happens.
Right.
All right, what do we do?
Well, step one, stop charging. And I realized that our society is now set up that you almost can't get around using credit cards. It's at the gas pump, it's in the grocery store, it's everywhere. So my first tip is stop charging, but if it's possible, use a credit card that has a zero balance on it as your card for doing the convenience charges at the gas pump in the grocery store, and pay that card off at the end of the month. Get used to having that one card with a zero balance. So what people don't know is they've heard about the grace period on cards, but if they're carrying a balance, even if that balance is $100, if they charge their gasoline at the gas pump, they're paying interest on that gas from the day they pumped it. Put it on a card with a zero balance, pay it off at the end of the month, and they got that gas for free for the period of time.
So then you are obviously an advocate of having more than one credit card for this reason specifically.
Well, yeah, you need to have credit cards to rent a car, to get a hotel room, to buy gas without having to carry cash.
If it wasn't for this specific reason of having one with a zero balance, do you still advocate more than one credit card to put your main things on?
No, I wouldn't. Well, actually, let me take that back. I do. One of the mistakes that people make is having a store card, a gas card,
That's what I was getting
a credit card. Big mistake. It's hard to keep track of it. The cards come in at different times during the month, and the concern is you promise yourself you're going to pay more than the minimum payment every month, but because the cards come in at different times during the month, you tend to just make the minimum payment because consumers are afraid they're going to run short before the end of the month, and they just never seem to pay more than the minimum. If you have one card and you plan in your budget how much money you're going to put towards that card every month, it's much easier to pay more than the minimum and to make a plan that will work to pay down that debt.
At some point, do you advise people who are deeply in debt to stop charging, period?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It gets to the point where they reach the credit limit, they're paying late, they have to stop charging and see how their budget's going to work without living a lifestyle charging everything.
Right. Additional tips.
Additional tips, a pencil and paper. That's the first step that people just never seem to do. If you sit down and write out how much money you owe on each card, add up how much you owe, that's a step that many of the clients that we get who come in at Consolidated Credit Counseling, they don't know how much they owe. They'll say on the phone, I owe $7,000,
right.
And then when they come and we add it up and they owe $10,000. Add it up. That's step one.
Your name is Consolidated. Do you think people, when they get to a certain point, need to take all those credit card debts and put them into one place and make one payment?
The answer to almost every question is it depends. It depends for each consumer. I think that having one payment is the easiest way to be organized. You know what it's going to be each month. You know how much you can afford to put towards it. Again, if you're paying different amounts at different times during the month, people are afraid to pay more than they should on the first bill that comes during the month because they're worried they won't have enough to pay the last bill that comes during the month. And then when the last bill comes, they don't want to pay more because they're worried about the beginning of the next month.
Good advice. Thank you very much for being with us. For more budgeting tips, you can call Consolidated Credit Counseling Services at 1-800-728-3632.